Yeah, man. So tell me your experience of life right now. What's a win? What's a challenge for you right now in life?
A win, and I'm winning at, I think, my temper, letting things get to me where I become angry.
Mm,
I had to reword that in my head. It says, things that make me angry. It says, I know that's not right.
hmm.
But, I've had people, like, I'm driving today and people do stuff and I'm like, okay,
Nice.
people honking at me and I'm just whatever. And so I'm seeing those wins. So hopefully, when people that are close to me say something, that I also can respond or not react. So that's,
Yeah. Have you had an opportunity to have an exchange like that where you felt energy rise up within you, but you didn't overreact or you handled it differently than you maybe had in the past?
I don't think I've had some things happen recently, but I even had, sometimes you have that you feel that energy, that emotion rising up and okay, got to jump on it. But I saw it, some of them, it was just, it didn't rise up at all.
Mm,
I didn't let it do that. So it made it a lot easier. One of the things that helped me was from one of the guys. He's talking about breathing, through the nose, 4 in and 8 out. So I do that, been doing that a lot. The first time I tried that, though, I tried to do 8 in because I didn't have it down, and I couldn't make it to 8 seconds. Oh, I'm doing something wrong here. So let's try four. Okay,
yeah.
but been doing that when I feel aggravated. Then I'll do three of them, and 4 8 4 8, and it helps me. It gives me that moment, and then so now when I'm feeling something, okay, all right, if I can just keep the emotions here, I'm fine,
Hmm.
which I've been able to do in a couple of cases. But I had an advantage in some of those. But when it's unexpected and I feel it rising, it's okay. Now do the breathing, and that's helping.
I just want to jump in right there. Being aware before it comes out, being aware as it's rising is incredible progress. That's fantastic work, man.
It kind of is because I've got I mean, well, probably like everybody else on any of these phone calls, I'm sure you've in the past have had that, the explosive temper, and
Oh yeah.
everybody has the varying degrees. And it's sad is, and I think I spoke to you about this, when I said something, my wife says, it feels like you're criticizing me, and I pounded the table
Right.
yelling, I not, because it's just infuriating. How can you take that? And of course, she spoke to me and says, if you had asked me, or, why do I say that? I said, well, I didn't think to ask that question of why do you say that? What I'm saying is criticizing you. But where am I going with this? But knowing what my wife had, what's hurt her is that temper, and no one, family, friend, leader, is like, hey, I see something here. Let's talk about it. Sit me down and walk me through. I've heard, having a little quip, a saying, whatever it is. I'm trying to remember, my grandmother would say these things, like, like I say, I can't do it, and she would have the thing, well, can't never could. I'm
Yeah,
8 years old.
sure.
What the hell does that mean? If you don't have anything nice to say, don't say anything at all. Now, what the hell am I supposed to say? That, no one, hey, this is what we do. This is how you do it. Let me walk. I'll tell you what, I'll even show you what to do. Now you mimic me and let that become a habit, and I see these videos where these people said, yeah, I wish I had learned this when I was 30. Well, yeah, I'm 60. I wish I would have, learned some of these things when I was maybe 57.
How about yesterday, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I really, like these Zoom meetings. I think okay, I don't remember who, I get little tidbits from something. I remember there were two videos like in the same week. One talked about resentment, and the other one started talking about forgiveness. And I was like, bam, bam, that's what I needed. They go hand in hand. And I was like, man, I see yeah, I have resentment and I'm not forgiving. And
So yeah, let's go there. So what's the challenge? What's one challenge you want to put on the table that you've had or that you want to acknowledge? It sounded like that's where you were going.
and I know I have a hard time with forgiving other people. I'll hold a grudge, but I also have a hard time forgiving myself.
Yeah. Why do you
You
think that
know,
is? What about it?
there's probably growing up, gosh, there was this whole thing about don't make a mistake,
Mm,
got to be perfect. And I don't think my parents ever said you got to be perfect, but there was just that sense I can't make a mistake. And I'd
Yeah.
rather do nothing than do something and fail. Because if I failed, then that for me was the mistake. That's my biggest thing. And so these are things that I'm trying to overcome. And that all kind of, so I'm watching a lot of other stuff. And one of the things that's come that people have accused me of, and it kind of shows itself in resentment or lack of forgiveness, holding a grudge, so on and so forth, is an unhealthy sense of narcissism. And I'm like,
Say more. I'm curious how you're going to define this. Go ahead.
I don't know. Well, that's the way I said it, an unhealthy sense of narcissism, because there is, some people said, oh, you're a narcissist. I'm like, why? Why do you say that? And yeah, I try to look for myself, but I don't know. There's a line there.
Who said that your level has gone to an unhealthy level of So all humans have this level of narcissism, this
Yeah.
self-introspection, this concern of ourself. That's the drive of the ego. Yeah. And
I
so
think,
what you're saying is part of that is normal and natural and healthy, and it's true. Nice guys are narcissistic, but they think that they're completely martyring themselves and giving, but they're giving to get. That's a form of narcissism.
yeah.
Yeah. So where did this level of unhealthy come from, would you say, for you?
So a couple of years ago, my stepfather passed away. We're out there, and I'm joking with one of my sisters. Didn't go good. And well, because I was telling her, oh, you're kind of like our stepbrother. Not good. Nobody likes his stepbrother. And I just said, and the way that that you said that, you're just like our stepbrother. And I'm doing it in a joking way. Oh, that, yeah, it hit a nerve.
Okay.
And she just went,
Okay.
she didn't see the humor in it at all. And of course, I'm like, let's keep going.
Yeah.
It,
Yep.
you
Yep.
know, and then the other sister, she was mad at me. I think the next day she said, you don't you show some empathy. It's like, no, you don't show empathy. You show compassion. You have empathy. You people
Okay.
need it. But then I had a conversation with my wife, and she was talking with the younger sister, and she said, yeah, we was talking, and yeah, you're narcissistic. What the hell? You're saying that you having a conversation without me, saying that I'm narcissistic. This is going in my head. I just
Okay.
kept quiet about it. So I'm like, so my whole damn family thing says I'm a narcissist. But
Okay.
nobody comes to me. I see something, shortcoming here, concerned about it, want to talk to you, blah, whatever. Go see it, get some help,
Yeah.
take some
So let
pills,
me jump
whatever it
let me
is.
jump in. Let me jump in.
Yeah.
I hear what you're saying. And we just went into the drama triangle. Have you heard of the drama triangle?
Heard of it, may have seen it, don't recall, other than it looks like a triangle. That's
Guys, I
about
did
it.
not give him this comedy routine. I don't know where he gets this, but yeah, the drama triangle does have the shape of a triangle. This is correct. And there's the bad guy, the good guy, and the victim. Right?
Okay. Yeah. I remember that now.
Okay, persecutor, villain, victim. And what you just described was, all right, they said this and such, and they said this and such. And then it was, what? Why don't you tell me this in a better way? I'm being victimized here by y'all. Okay. So if we don't fall into the drama triangle and make them the bad guy and you the victim, I think part of this challenge of what you've said this in a couple different ways so far in the call. We don't know what to do really at that point. And earlier you said, well, I should have just said, hey, how does that make you feel when you feel criticized? Like, tell me more about that. Why do you feel criticized by me? Same with your family. Oh, narcissistic. Cool. How so? Tell me about that. Well, you're such a pompous asshole. Yeah, sometimes. Okay,
Yeah.
what else? Give it to me. Like, let's go. I lean into this shit. It's like, what else? Let's go. Because really, what they're doing is just sprinkling drama on the situation. And as soon as you fall into the drama triangle, it perpetuates more drama. Who's the bad guy? Who's the good guy? Who's the villain? Right? Who's the bad guy? Who's the savior? Who's going to save me from all these evil women? Who's going to save them from me? And now it's just more fucking sprinkling the drama, sprinkling the drama. And most men that I know want peace and tranquility and calmness and direction and freedom within their life, not drama. So that sounds like what the challenge is how do you handle when you get to a point where maybe verbally you're not sure what to do? Because defending yourself isn't a good idea. You've learned that, right? So what do you do aside from just ignore it while they beat you up or stomp on you? It's you engage in it. I had this man is on this call, I believe. Actually, no, he's not on this particular call. I had a one-on-one client of mine say, I've been practicing turning what I previously thought were insults or criticism into compliments. I'm treating them like they're compliments. So you're a narcissist. Like, oh, cool, thank you. How am I a narcissist? How does that come? So if you actually pretend, now they're probably going to get upset because they feel you're being disingenuous. But guess what? There are, if you're being called a narcissist, feel like you're being attacked, they're not, this isn't logical. This isn't compassionate or empathetic. This is them sprinkling drama. So agree and amplify. Have you heard me say that before? Agree and amplify. Agree with what they're saying. Oh, cool. And amplify is like, tell me more, or bring it on, or that's okay.
You may have said that in the past, but I don't remember. But I think I'll remember from this point on, agree and amplify.
Yeah, something to practice. And it's not agree and then be a jackass. So,
but I like that part.
Okay, all right. You and I are kin.
Well, if you said, well, yeah, if I just said it like that and, tell me more or whatever, and it made them mad, I'm like, oh, this could be satisfying.
Yes.
I'm in the family, people know, even people that don't know me. I remember we're in this group, and this guy from this couple, he comes up to me and says, you really like to stir the pot, don't you? I'm like, yeah, I do. I do.
You and I were separated in the hospital or something. Probably.
Yeah, about 10 or 15 years apart.
Hey, I'm not counting, we're all ageless on the inside, right? Thanks for getting us started, man. Good to see you. Glad that you're here. Absolutely. And what's the spot that you wanted to bring up today? What's a challenge that you're facing right now? Go ahead and unmute yourself. Unmute yourself, buddy. Yeah.
Hey, Jeff. Yeah, first time here. You've been great. I've been watching the videos. I don't know, I've got about 4 or 5 of your videos that I keep rotating because everything is hitting right on the spot. My wife is going through, I moved out about a week now, but it's been probably 2 months where it's completely an attack. I mean, my wife just flipped. She's a Leo and she has 2 sides of her. She's a beautiful heart, beautiful woman. I mean, we get along so well, but then there's a flip side of her, and I don't know what sets it off. And she attacks me. She's a porcupine, and I'm the target. And so I'm out. I'm breathing a little bit, listening to the other gentleman talk about breathing, but I don't have any problem with that. This is my second time with this in 2 years with her. We went through this again. The catalyst is her daughter, and it's a long story.
Remind me how old her daughter is again.
Well, her daughter is on a trust fund, and her daughter is her first child with a previous marriage. They did very, very well. He's a builder. She does very well. She doesn't worry about money. And so she's married now. She's got 5 kids in the picture, 2 from a previous man, 1 from the husband she's with now, and he has 2 kids from 2 different women. So I call it the circus, but I don't really have a strong relationship.
So she's you lost me a little bit. So she's an adult.
Sorry.
She's an adult.
Yeah, she's about 30. I think she's probably early 30s.
Gotcha. Okay. Gotcha.
And my wife holds her up to very high standards. In fact, when she calls, FaceTime, she lives in Georgia. And my wife just went up there in June, the whole month of June. And now her daughter came into town here in Naples, Florida. It's a vacation area, and she's renting. So I could tell the agitation picking up with her, and I'm the target, and she wants me out because everything thrown at me. And this is the second time. She did this 2 years ago, the same thing. She started getting agitated. Daughter's coming into town because she hides this aura of who she really is.
Who is she now? Is this
my
your
wife? My wife. My wife
okay.
has this. I don't know if my wife is embarrassed of me. I'm from Jersey. I'm the youngest of 4 Italian boys. I say things like it is. I don't give a shit about what anybody thinks. The gentleman who was just on that you were talking to, I felt like saying, fuck what your family thinks. This is the time you make your stand. And if they think that way, you're a narcissist, like you said, whatever, you got to deal with this without them. And if they're saying this behind your back, then get away from them. So me, I'm the same way. But the other thing is I have a 17-year-old stepson.
Okay, hold up. Doug, pause for me, buddy.
Go ahead.
So you're shooting a lot of information out, which is cool.
Oh, there's a lot.
But give me a target so I understand where we're going here. Yeah, please.
So anyway, this is the second time around. It's the same pattern, the same thing. Her daughter. Okay, I don't know what she's afraid to show her daughter when she comes into town. We just sold a home here. We doubled the price. We're done very well, but it's her home, her money. But still, we share everything, at least in my heart, 50-50.
So I'm hearing that she wanted to boot you quickly out before the 30-something.
Quickly. I mean, it exploded into
Okay. So what's the question there, please? Yeah, what's the question?
So I guess my question would be is I don't want to go through this again. And the last time we might have come back and reconciled, I wouldn't say too quickly. I think it was about 4 or 5 months. And when I came back for 6 months or 7 months, intimacy was fantastic. We were very close. And it's three of us. It's my 17-year-old stepson, who's my son, and it's my wife. And we're a unit. We're really close. But what happened was, is after 6 months, we started drifting further apart, a little, just, separate rooms. Intimacy started to drop, and almost roommates, chit chats and stuff like that. I love her, but now we're going through the same thing. And my question is, I don't know if I want to just completely get out of this, because she stabbed me in the back. I mean, to do this again and attack me. And I love her son. I have raised him for 10 years. His father committed suicide about 7 years ago. I've been his rock, and I love this kid, and we are close. And for her to turn her back on me because her daughter's coming into town, and again, the second time, push me out, tell me to get out because she's removing me from the situation so her daughter could come into the home we're renting, which is a brand new home on a lake with a pool, tells me to get out, kicks me out the door again. And I tried everything I could to soften it, to calm it down, to get control, but I couldn't. She was already taking off with it. So I had no choice but to say, okay, I'm in a bed and breakfast or an Airbnb. And so my question is, do I get out of this? I mean, I'm breathing now. I just started a brand new position. Everything is fine. I can move forward. I'd hate for this to happen to my stepson because we are very close. But I'm the kind of guy I've been gone now probably a week, but we haven't talked in about 2 months. A little bit chit chat when I was there, but she went up to Georgia for the full month of June. We texted not at all. I didn't get a text. I didn't get a call. Nothing. I knew something was wrong. So sure enough, her daughter comes into town to come back down here to rent with her family, and I knew it. So my question is, do I step away from this and get away from this? Because no one treats anybody this way, not a second time around. There's something deeper here with her that I can't put a finger on. And I don't know if it's because she just wants to put this facade on with her daughter and her ex, though I'm not worried about him, never have been, no threat. There's no threat of another guy. We have been very committed and loyal. But the second time around, it's one of those fool me once, shame on you, fool me twice.
Yeah, sure. So let's talk
shame
about
on
this.
me.
Okay, let's talk about this. Yeah, pause for me, Doug. Pause. Can you hear me? Pause for me. Okay, thank you.
My question is,
pause for me. Pause for me, Doug. Can you hear me?
All right.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Man. All right. Woo. I don't know if you've ever had anybody tell you, but you're a steamroller, bro. I don't know if you know that. Has anyone told you that?
Well, I'm extroverted. But the point is that there's a lot to say. I don't like surface talk.
Yeah. Hold on. So pause again. So
I sent you a picture of my family. I want you to know what you're looking at. Go ahead.
Okay. So I have absolute deep compassion for you, and I'm happy to talk about this. The reason I'm kind of being in your face about it is if the experience that I just had is the experience that your loved ones close to you often have, they probably feel steamrolled a lot. Have you heard that before from them?
No, I wouldn't say it's that. I have a lot of energy. I wouldn't say it's that at all. We have a lot of space in that house. I appreciate and respect my wife's style. She's more introverted, but she can be just as outgoing. But when I meet someone new like you, and this is personal information, I want you to have the true picture. I don't like small talk.
Okay, pause again.
Go ahead.
So now you're doing the coping of why you're doing it. And this is important. This is why I'm spending time on this. I'm going to answer your question. I'm happy to go into your question. But the scenario that you gave me and your question are like an Everest trek away from one another.
Okay.
And we've only had a couple of calls together and just a little bit. And I saw the picture of your 17-year-old and you've got your hand on his side and you got, his mom and your wife on the other side. And he looks like he's happy. I've worked with a lot of teenagers and a lot of boys. That's been my specialty in practice before. Yeah. He looks really happy in that picture. And I bet you're an amazing dad. From just the energy I can see in that picture, I bet you're an amazing dad.
That's what hurts.
Yeah, absolutely. My son's 19 right now. And I've had a lot of trouble when he was a teenager. So I know what that's like. But the immediate thing that I'm calling out is, are you aware that you have the potential to steamroll?
Well, I don't know if I would categorize it that, but I see what you're saying.
Okay, but I'm telling you how it felt to me, though. You see why I'm doing this?
Yeah. Yeah, I do. Steamroll is a hard word.
Is it?
I would consider it extroverted, energetically extroverted.
Okay,
Steamrolling.
so again,
Good.
that's
Sorry.
coping. It's coping and avoiding. So are you aware that you have the potential to do that? Whatever words you want to name it, are you
Could
aware?
be. I mean, I could come right on in and take over, and I don't intentionally want to do that, but take over a conversation. I feel the need to always fill the gaps and the holes for the conversation.
Sure, sure. And the way you're talking about your wife, it sounds like she does that as well. Is that true?
Not naturally like I do. She'll come in and observe the room while I'll come in and just walk right into the middle of it and start from there. And I could get everybody's pattern and jump right in, where my wife won't do that. She'd rather be on the outskirts or the boundary and not get too involved. In fact, it'll wear her out.
Okay.
Though
Yeah.
we share that, that yin and yang with each other. I absorb her introversion and she absorbs my extroversion. So if we're together and we do something, she is more, like you and Cynthia talk about the frame, the man, the masculine frame. She totally brings the feminine frame and I bring the masculine, and we do absorb each other and then kind of balance that.
Yeah, that's
So
fantastic.
steamroller is interesting. It's almost like an insult because I don't see myself as that. I'm more respectful. But like I was trying to tell you, when you and I are, this is new and there's a lot on my mind. I mean, I've been thinking about this what am I going to do here? And so I'm just trying to
Yeah,
create and paint
let me
you the picture.
compliment you. Sure. So let me compliment you. And since I mentioned that, you're much more like checked, you're grounded, much more calm.
Yeah.
Like
Thank
you
you.
feel much more trustable right now, right? And I'm making this point because if you're in the middle of an exchange with your wife and you get excited and you feel like, all right, my extroversion is coming out, if I'll use that word, she probably feels obliterated. I mean, I have a pretty strong personality, and it's like, whoa, okay, that's how it felt to me. That's just my experience, and I want you to know my true experience because that's important. Part of this group for me and for all the men that are here we want to feel free to know who we are. We want to feel free to express our extroversion or our personality in the world, but we don't want that to be a bludgeon that we hit other people over the head with. We want it to be compassionate and open and understanding so we can cultivate lover energy with our woman, king safety and depth around our woman. That's what we're looking for. And you feel like that right now. So your question is, okay, this has happened twice in a row, 2 years ago, then moved out, moved back in. It's been a week since you've been out. You haven't been talking much. I didn't quite catch all the details. We haven't been talking all of June and something was wrong. And then daughter's coming into town and she's like booting you out. Well, again, what's happened and what you're asking me, there's a whole journey in between. Like, so the question is what? Should I divorce her right now? Should I have patience in the Airbnb and see how it goes after her daughter leaves town? What do you feel you want to do next?
Right now it's just nice and easy. I've been focusing on a new job, new work, but at the same time, my heart's getting tugged because of my son. When I left, I mean, this time around, him and I are on great ground. And in fact, when she exploded on me to get out, and I don't do this if she explodes. I'm trying to follow her. Yeah, I've got my reasons, but when she's exploding, and it's interesting what you say, because one of her pet peeves, and I've respected this, is that she says that I step over her when she's talking. You never let me finish, because I want to add to that, like talk to her if we're sharing information. But over the years, 10 years, I've respected that and let her finish. But she always uses that as well as other things that she pulls out of the hat and throws, and throws them at me. But anyway, what I was going to say is, so my 17-year-old, it was better this time. He actually stood up for me when she was, arguing. And I mean, that was her defense to get out, for me to get out. It had to be this day. And sure enough, he GPSed her daughter or his stepsister. And sure enough, she was in town. So, we knew that. But no, we haven't talked. It's been chit chat. I don't know what she was doing. I was just kind of letting her do her thing as I observed her, but I wasn't penetrating at all. She just cut me out, a different stance.
Sure. So do you remember my question? Do you remember the question I just asked? So I asked, what do you want to do next? Do you want to just relax in the Airbnb and see how she feels after the daughter goes? Or
I've got to.
do you want to just divorce her right now? Or what are the options for you?
No, I don't think it's divorce right now, though 2 times in a row. So the pattern is to answer that question, and this is where I'm at. So the first time we went through this, took about 6 months. I left, same thing. I got a place, then I found an apartment, and then she texted me. We talked back and forth. She saw the change in me. I felt really good. Came back, I missed them like crazy. Came back, intimacy was fantastic.
Sure.
So here we go now. We go through all this stuff, all our plans, talking, and this comes up again. And so I'm sitting here thinking, what do you want to do? I mean, is she ever going to go to her daughter and say, look, I love Doug. You should probably work on this relationship with him because he wants to, but you never gave him the chance because it's always been my fault. Or and then come back. But this time I've got to have boundaries or rules, at least for my protection, as to this is a pattern. This can't happen again because it's insanity. Or do I just say, this is crazy for any man to go through this betrayal, broken trust. And I don't mean betrayal as far as another guy. I know there's nothing in picture. Same with me. I love my wife, never done anything, never cared to. She's a beautiful woman and so forth. So I'm in that dilemma. So I've got to be here. And this is probably going to be another 2 weeks here. And I'm probably going to get my own place because this might go 6 months because I know her. She won't reach out, but I cannot reach out to her. I'll lose the leverage. And I can't do that. I've got to, and I'll embrace her with open arms if she reaches out, but it's not going to be for a while. I know her. She's stubborn. She'll hold it tight. She'll keep everything in until it starts to soften and the love comes back and she'll reach out at some point, maybe. You know, she threatened divorce. And I was like, you know, okay, we've been here before. If that's what you want to do, that's up to you, which is crazy. So that's my question is, I'm at the fork in the road. Would a guy go through this again?
Sure. Okay. I got you. I got you.
You know what I mean?
Yeah, I got you. So it's a great question. What's going on with the daughter? Like, what is it about her not wanting you to be around the daughter or the daughter not liking you?
So in a nutshell, since I've been there when I met her, I was single. I've been divorced for 10 years from my first wife and I was dating and I moved to Jacksonville, Florida with Citigroup. So I started dating when I met her. So when I came into the picture, my stepson's father was alive. They weren't married, but he was alive. And so I came into the picture and I embraced my wife and her son, my stepson. And I was okay with the dad. No threat there, not a problem. So we all were doing our thing as a blended family and everything. Well, 3 years later, he gets married to a pediatrician and he blows his head off. He kills himself, which freed us up. But when I first got there, I met the daughter. The daughter's dad has some kind of a tie on the daughter. He has money. She has a trust fund.
So this is the man that committed suicide is her father?
No, this is my wife's ex-husband.
Okay, so it's a different man.
Yeah. So
okay,
the daughter
has nothing to do with your stepson or the guy that blew his head off.
Except that so when I first got into the picture, she didn't like anybody except her father, except my wife's ex-husband, which is the father of her daughter. She didn't like me and she didn't like my stepson's father. She didn't like any other man except her father, which is my wife's ex-husband. So my stepson's father kills himself.
Okay.
And then we move here to Florida and her daughter and I never really embraced each other. She just, it's her dad. She stays close to him. That's where she lives. She lives near her father. She's got the home, the kids, they're up in Georgia. And my wife caters to her all the time.
Okay. So pause for me. I want you to be balls honest with me as much as you can.
Yeah.
There's more here than just like, she doesn't like me or something like that. What really is this about? What does your wife say? Why did she do this 2 years ago and then do this again? What does she say?
Well, I'll be honest with you. I think it's some weird, warped, obsessive relationship between her and her daughter. The reason I say my stepson's father, she never liked him. That wasn't an issue.
Pause for me.
Okay.
So
okay.
I have a hard time tracking the whole family tree, so I'm just trying to keep it on the daughter.
There's not much there. It's just my stepson and her daughter. And her daughter. Now I don't know if her daughter.
Please. Okay.
Go ahead.
So let's just go with your question. It doesn't sound like we're going to find out what's going on between you and the daughter today, unless it's just what you said.
There's nothing there.
So as far as what you want to do, my impression of all of this is that your wife has a lot going on. There's a lot of drama, obviously, in the past. She loves you.
Yeah.
I don't know how you told me in this call just a minute ago, she loves you. There's no like infidelity. It sounds like just, and I don't want to minimize this, but it sounds like drama. Now, your question about boundaries and she can't do this again and all this kind of stuff, she has to want to be with you before she gives, and before she will care at all about any kind of boundaries on your side. So as of right now, like you just said, she's multiple times thrown you out where she basically wants to feel in control of her own family, her own space, the energy, the situation. Maybe she just didn't want your energy in the situation for whatever reason. And if that's the case, it seems like you've now learned that about your wife. You've learned that this is how she's going to treat you around her daughter and such. And so you have to make a decision of, is this tenable for me right now? Do I want to have patience, be in an Airbnb, wait till the daughter leaves town, and then slowly, and this is what I work with men in one-on-one coaching and in the private membership coaching that I do, is that slowly over time, how can I help facilitate my wife to care about me, respect me, and be attracted to me again? How do I give her the potential for that? Right? I can't promise an outcome, obviously, but the potential for that. And through that work, through being a king and how to be a lover and how to give her space and have her come to you, if she is interested in you again, attracted to you again, wants you to move in, or she, wants to live with you again, at that point, and only down the road at that point, would a discussion with her around boundaries and her daughter be appropriate? Because before then, she'll just throw you out of the room. Obviously, you know where you are in terms of her and her daughter. You're underneath, she's not, you're zero compared to the daughter, apparently. So
absolutely.
Why would she do anything different with her daughter unless she wants you? So that's the path that you're looking at. So let's go ahead and pause there. Thanks, buddy. Sure, come on in, please.
My view of it, if you don't mind me, is in a relationship, you and your wife come first, your kids come second. And it seems to me that whenever the daughter's in town, there's some dynamic which isn't fully understood that you have to leave. And I had a bloody mother-in-law from hell, and I virtually had to say that my wife is a daughter in your house, but mistress of her own. And if you don't behave here, you can bloody well leave. You don't come into this house. I told her to leave once. She came into this house and berated my daughter, and I basically gave her that attitude. You don't talk to me or my daughter like this in my house. And my father-in-law, who's built like you, probably another foot taller, he just looked at me and went, "You're right." And normally he didn't do that. And I hear what Jeff says about boundaries and waiting for the thing to come, but the daughter is the one that needs the boundary. If you don't come to my house. We'll come. My wife can go to your B&B or wherever the daughter's staying if she wants to interact, but you don't get kicked out of your house to facilitate the daughter.
Sure. So talk about that for a minute. I have about 2 minutes left on this call, and I'm happy to continue this another time. Obviously, this is complicated, guys. We're not going to solve world, hunger in one call. So with the dynamic of the wife holds the daughter, in high esteem and is way underneath that, how do you think it's going to go if right now, the way the wife feels, if he says, the daughter needs boundaries and she needs to leave and all these things, how do you think that's going to go?
Well, it's either going to get worse or it's going to get better. You'll soon know. It might be the boundary that the wife's looking for to give the excuse to put the daughter in a place, to give the short version. Or it's going to go to hell in the handbasket. Who knows?
Yeah, that's fair. That's fair. And if this was a hill that was willing to die on, meaning if, let's say he'd been doing this men's work for 6 months or 12 months, and he's in the energy, I see your energy now. It's fantastic and grounded and more calm. So if he was in that space and he'd been doing this work and he knew what he wanted and he'd cultivated a healthy vacuum of attraction for his wife to potentially step back into, all the things that we do here, all the things that we learn and I teach here. If he'd been doing that and then this situation happened and then said calmly, "Hey, this isn't okay for her to come in and disrupt our life. So she's going to need to do something else, or the two of you are going to need to go in an Airbnb because I'm not leaving my own house." If that were the case, then yes, I would say that has a chance of well, number one, being successful, but also feeling proud of how he might stand up for himself in a calm way and honor his domain, so to speak, as you're saying. But as it is, he's been thrown out. As it is, he's upset, which is understandable. And as it is, the wife doesn't see him in any kind of regard, I would say.
I hear what you're saying, Jeff, but this gives a vibe to me of he's being disrespected, and you don't allow, you'll be disrespected if you allow it.
So pause there for me, please. So this is a whole other discussion. We're gonna have to cut this short. This is gonna have to be a cliffhanger. So you're very well aware that no one can make us feel a certain way necessarily. They can influence us. Yeah. And so his feeling disrespected is his responsibility. Now, what he does with that, yes, that's what you're talking about. But also, there's no relationship going on with this daughter. And when there's no relationship happening, there's zero chance that kid is going to give a fuck what you say. Well, she's 30, but there's zero chance that, a child or a situation, your child, even though they're adult, is going to give two shits about what you're trying to push on them if they feel that you don't see them or respect them or understand them or have a relationship with them. So what I would suggest is attempting to build a relationship with his wife and the daughter first. And that's the reason I mentioned the steamroller word. And the reason I mentioned his energy is because I would guess that his wife and his daughter feel steamrolled at times. And that's something that can control.
Yep. Yeah, I can see where you're going with that. The thing that the dynamic seems to be driven by the daughter's expectations, and nobody holds it to account. Is the king of his house, but he's asked to exit via a manipulation, I'll call it, of his wife bloody going ballistic at him until he says, bugger it, I'll go to the Airbnb for some peace. But in a way, you're condoning the behaviour. And at some point you say, well, hold a second, this is our house, my house, or our house, or whatever. And the dynamic with the daughter shouldn't affect it. We can't, and he puts up with it. He can't keep doing this.
I hear you. Yeah, thank you.
Directly saying to my wife, are you ashamed of me or something?
There's a lot more there than we haven't gotten into tonight. And I hear what you're saying. So let's go over to, thanks, I appreciate it. So yeah, give us some final words and then I'm gonna have to go for tonight, please.
Yeah, thanks. That was good. No, I really like that. It's not disrespect. It's loyalty. I mean, she just, destroyed all that. There is a strange relationship between the two of them. There's no doubt. My wife holds her daughter in very high regards. I get the hand when a phone call comes in. I get the hand when a FaceTime comes in, and it's multiple times through the day. And that's okay. I do not have a relationship with her, but I support my wife with her. I'll give her the space. I know it's her daughter. I know she loves her. But here we are again, second time around, same pattern. My wife, she'll leave. My wife will get a couple of months, maybe. She'll reach out. I don't want to go through this again. I need to leverage like a kick in the ass to my wife or do something to make her realize that if I'm the guy, I'm the one you love, we've got 10 years, what's it going to be to you to not do this again? Because you can't go through this 3 times in a row. It's ridiculous. This is just insanity.
Yeah. Thank you, Doug. Let's wrap it up for today.
Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. So some other questions I would have down the road if we were to speak again are, your wife, has she always done this disrespectful behavior, as called it? And I would ask, did you stand up to that or speak about that a long time ago? That's another question I have. Why not? How did that go? How did this unfold? These are more things we would talk about. And if I were you, the sort of strategy I would use is I would want to cultivate a relationship with my wife again after the daughter leaves town. That's what I would try to do. That's what I would want to do. And then after things are going better again with the wife, because it sounds like that was the pattern last time, after things are going better again, then you can have this discussion about, hey, it's not okay what such and such is happening. This is a boundary for me. I'm not going to be leaving my house again. These are different discussions that you can have over time. Guys, I appreciate you. Okay.